Hi, it's Michelle from the Bead Gallery, and today I'm going to show you how to do a Year of the Tiger Bodhi bracelet. This is a macrame technique, and it's going to have a sliding knot closure. So let's get started. The kit includes all of these different mixed colors of tiger eye. We have our gold tiger eye, red, and blue, and we have this special crystal quartz that is etched with a tiger, okay, as our center. So the kit comes with these beads. It comes with 4 stainless steel round beads here that we're going to use at the ends for our pull beads. And then it comes with a few different kinds of string. This is 1.4 millimeter Chinese knotting cord. And this is what we're going to use to macrame around the beads. And we have this Super Mac nylon cord. There's about a yard in this kit. Okay, and this is what the beads are going to be strung on. So this is the core of our bracelet. The kit also includes a little piece of fishing line. This is going to act as a needle so we can string the beads onto the Super Mac. It really helps to have a bead stopper when you're stringing the beads on to the Super Mac. Because what you do is you just sort of clip the 2 tails together like this, and our Super Mac is going to be folded in half. Then we're going to put the fishing line through where it is folded, like this. So this is our needle, because we're going to be stringing the beads onto a doubled length of Super Mac. Okay, then we're just going to start stringing our beads in the order we want them. So basically what I'm doing here is alternating the gold and the red tiger eye. These are 8 millimeter faceted round. Okay. So we're going to have 6 on each side. You may need less if your wrist is on the smaller side, but I will show you the finished straight length once I get all of the bead strung on and the bracelet knotted. Okay. Then I have the 10 millimeter blue tiger eye bead, and then our 10 millimeter crystal quartz bead that's etched with our tiger. So this is a very tiger filled bracelet. Okay, and then we're going to repeat on the other side, just like this. Okay, and we can take our fishing line needle out. And now we're going to cut our 1.4 millimeter Chinese knotting cord in half. So, just going to cut it right in half. And we're going to extend one piece of the string about 9 inches past the end of the other string. Okay, and you'll see why in just a little bit. After that, I'm going to knot the 2 pieces of Chinese knotting cord with the folded over piece of Super Mac all together in an overhand knot. So an overhand knot is just getting the strings and tying them together all in a knot like this. So we want one of the 1.4 millimeter Chinese knotting cords to be extending past the end of the bracelet. Like this. This is what we're going to use as the pull string on this end. Okay, and then you just want to tighten up your overhand knot here and make sure that everything is nice and tight and all the slack is pulled out. Okay, and to do that, usually you just pull the strings kind of like one at a time, and your knot will tighten. And then we're going to cut away these extra strings here, these little tails. We're going to cut this away and use a lighter to kind of melt down the ends and seal your knot here. I'm just going to cut it away for now. I'll do the sealing at the very end of the video. Okay. So all we have is our one long piece of string that's extending beyond the length of the bracelet. Then we're going to put our bracelet onto our Rex board. This is our base that we're going to use to do our macrame. It's going to be holding our beads and our threads in place. So you're just going to clip the extra long piece of the Chinese knotting cord like this, and the knot will be on this side of the clip. Okay. And we're going to pull kind of tight so that it doesn't droop a lot, and use the binder clip to kind of hold it down at the end. Okay. So this is what our board is going to look like. Okay, so now that we have all of our beads strung, we're ready to start doing the macrame with our Chinese knotting cord. Okay, so to do macrame, we're going to start by doing our P's and 4s. So I'm going to start with a 4. So you take the left string and you go bend it like this and go over the core thread. Then we're going to take the thread on the right and go over this tail, under the core, and through the loop here. So we're tying a square knot around the core that our beads are strung on. Then we're going to make a P. So you see your P. Then we're going to take the left string and go over the tail, under the core, and through the loop like this. So when we do one set of 1 P and 1 4, then we can slide up our first bead. And then I'm going to do a P. And then I'm going to make my 4. So always go over this tail, under the core, and through the loop. And then you can pull tight. We're going to slide up the next bead. And we're going to want to alternate our P's and our 4s so that our knots are balanced. Because I started with a P on this side, I'm going to start with a 4 on this next bead. And then I'm going to make a P. And slide the next bead up. I'm going to start with a P again. And when you pull your thread or your knot tight around this bead here, you want to make it so that it frames the bead nicely and it kind of hugs the fattest part of the bead. You don't want to tighten your knot so much that the bead pops up like this. See how it's kind of bumping upward? You want to frame it just enough so that it's sitting nice and centered on your bracelet. And everything is kind of all level. And you're just going to continue until you have all of the beads surrounded with thread. Okay. Okay, so now we have knots around all of our beads. And then you're going to see this will make about a section that is just about 7.5 inches in length. Okay. So if your wrist is a lot smaller than 7.5 inches, you'll probably want to take off a bead or two on each side. Just remember that if you want it to be a balanced design, you're going to have to take off 2 beads at a time, one on the left and one on the right, to keep your design symmetrical. Okay, so it's going to get shorter by quite a bit for every 2 beads that you take off. So I finished my last square knot here. Then I'm going to release it from the clipboard. I'm going to take off my bead stopper as well. And then I'm going to do an overhand knot with all of the strings here. So the 2 pieces of Super Mac and the 2 pieces of Chinese knotting cord. I'm going to do an overhand knot that sits right above my last set of square knots. Okay, so again, we're going to treat all of the strings like it's one and then do one big knot. And you want it to sit pretty close to the end of the bracelet. You don't have to necessarily cover the last square knot that you did. You want it to be right next to that. Okay. And again, pull all the slack out of your knot by pulling on the strings one at a time to make everything nice and tight. Just like so. Okay, now both of these strings are pretty equally long, so we can cut away the 2 pieces of Super Mac and 1 of the Chinese knotting cord, so we'll just have 1 Chinese knotting cord left. Again, just like on the first side that we did. Okay, so just make it really tight and trim. Okay, again, we're going to want to seal this area with a lighter to just melt down that nylon. But I will do that in a little bit. This is what our piece looks like so far. I'm just going to trim down this really long extra piece of Chinese knotting cord so they're about equal on each side. So now we're ready to tie our sliding knot section here. And we're going to cross the 2 ends of the bracelet like this. And it helps to kind of clip it down to something. Again, it's either the Rex board, we'll do that. And we're going to have to go at a teeny little angle here. Oops. There you go. Okay, so I have my 2 ends crossed like this, and I'm going to clip it down just so it's kind of held in place, like this. And I'm going to use my extra piece of Chinese knotting cord to do the adjustable sliding knot section. So this is a completely separate piece of Chinese knotting cord. We're going to start by doing half of a square knot like this. And then we're going to do a series of P's and 4's that are alternating. Okay, to do our macrame section for this. So I just did a 4. We're going to do a P. We're going to alternate this maybe like 4 times. Okay, so we'll have a 4. And then a P. You'll want your adjustable sliding knot section to be about 3/4 of an inch in length. You don't want it to be too long because then it gets really hard to pull the cord ends and adjust the size of your bracelet. Okay, I'm going to say that looks about good here. And so yeah, our adjustable sliding knot section is about 3/4 of an inch in length here. Like this. And you want to make sure that when you pull, it's not hard to pull. Okay? You don't want it to be impossible to open and close. You want it to slide pretty easily, but not so loose that your bracelet will pull open all the time. Here we go. So this is what it's looking like so far, and now we just need to clean up a lot of our cord ends and attach our pull beads. Okay, so now I'm going to clean up my cord ends by trimming away the excess pieces of Chinese knotting cord on my adjustable sliding knot section. And then I'm going to seal the knot with my lighter here. Okay. Don't cut this tail or this tail. These are the pull strings of your bracelet, so don't cut those. You will want to cut away the threads that make up this sliding knot section. So you're going to trim down to about, I would say, 1/8 of an inch, like this. And then we're going to use a lighter and kind of pull all of the cords away from that tail. I'm going to use a lighter and touch the side of the tip of the thread to the side of the flame. Once you have it balled up nice, then you can press down like this, and this is what seals your knot. Do the same thing for the other side. Again, trim down to about 1/8 of an inch. And kind of pull everything away from this tip. Touch the tip of the thread to the side of the flame and let it ball up and start to melt. And while it's still molten, use the side of the lighter to kind of push that little molten ball into the side of your knot like this. And it's kind of melted on there. You don't want to melt it so much that you can't pull it in, so just double check that it still moves freely. Okay, and right now, since I have my lighter out, I'm going to also burn these little fuzzy ends here to clean that up. Okay, again, you want to touch the thread tip like this to the side of the flame because it's easier to control. It moves a lot less than the tip of the flame, and it's hotter. So just melt and press that down like this. Okay, that looks nice and clean. So the bracelet was about 7.5 inches in length from this knot to this knot. And you're going to have to remember it needs to get to be about 8.5 inches or 9 inches to go over your hand. Just keep that in mind. If you have a bigger hand, then you need a bigger, your bracelet needs to be bigger when it opens so it can go over your hand and then you can pull it shut. If your hand, like say we want it to open up to about 9 inches, then you're going to need maybe 3/4 of an inch on each side. Here. You don't want it to open up too big because your tails will be like really long and you don't want them hanging into everything. So as little as possible of this extra string is good. Okay. But this is what makes it adjustable. So I'm going to go with about 1/2 inch of string on each side. So that's 8.5 plus my 3/4 of an inch here. So that will be over 9 inches of opening. Okay, and then that's like the maximum size it's going to open to. So we're going to do overhand knots just so that it stops and it doesn't open any bigger at that point. Okay, so overhand knots with each string, not tied around anything. Okay, and you want to push that knot right up against that sliding knot section. Okay, so there, that's the largest your bracelet will open, and then that's the smallest it will close. Okay, so you have that 1 inch leeway. Now it's really hard just to have like these long strings, and you don't really want a very long section of string because that gets into everything. So that's where our little pull beads come into place. We're going to do 2 on each side, and that will help to weigh the ends of your bracelet down. So we're going to put 2 of these steel stardust beads on each side. And then we're going to just do an overhand knot like so. And you want to push that knot right up against the steel bead so that it's not loose. So you just kind of scooch it all the way up there like that, and then pull tight. Do the same thing for the other string. Again, tie an overhand knot to keep the beads from falling off, and you want to push that knot right up against the base of the bead. So. And then you pull tight. And at this point, we're just going to trim away most of the excess string. Cut it down to maybe about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. And then to keep the end from fraying, you can hit that with the lighter as well, just to fuse the end together. Okay. If you wanted to, you could burn this tail all the way up to the knot and just sort of squish that molten ball into the knot itself to seal it completely, but I kind of like the extra string sticking out from the knot like this, so I'm going to end it just like that. Okay, and don't touch it too quickly because then it's hot. Let's clean that up. All right, and there we have it. This is our Year of the Tiger Bodhi bracelet. Let's see what it looks like. And there we have it. Our Year of the Tiger Bodhi bracelet that is done with the macrame technique. I hope you'll try it and find it as fun as I found it too. Okay? Thanks for watching.